Okay, so let's jump right in. We spent some time really digging into this chat we had with ChatGPT
Hmm.
about AI and what it means for us for the future. Like, is it actually helping or is it just giving us more to deal with?
Right, right.
What we want to figure out.
Yeah, getting to the bottom of it.
So first off, we just straight up asked, is AI increasing the workload for humans?
Straight to the point.
No beating around the bush.
Exactly.
And ChatGPT, kind of gave us this two-sided answer. It said, on one hand, it's doing all this automation of the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
data entry,
Like
scheduling,
all that stuff.
for the stuff that matters.
Yeah.
Exactly. But there's always a but.
There's always a but. AI is bringing its own kind of pressure.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like now there's this expectation that you're available 24/7. Always on, always connected.
Constantly be learning the new AI tools.
Which is a whole job in itself.
Totally. And then there's this unspoken thing where it's like, well, we have AI now, so you should be able to do more with less.
Oh, yeah.
Same amount of time, but bigger expectations.
They think AI is magic.
Yeah, and it's not just about less work, it's about work shifting.
Shifting the burden.
Some of the grunt work might be gone, but AI can also feed into this always-on culture.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we're trading one kind of workload for another.
And potentially ending up with burnout.
Exactly. So the challenge becomes, how do we manage these expectations?
How do we set boundaries?
So we don't end up more stressed than before.
Right.
So this whole idea of work shifting led us to ask, okay, what skills do humans actually need to focus on in the next, say, 5 years?
If the work is changing, we got to change too.
So what should we be learning? And ChatGPT actually had a pretty decent list.
Okay.
First up, problem solving and critical thinking.
The fundamental.
Not just about solving any problem. It's about asking the right questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. We need to be the ones framing the problem.
We can't just take everything AI says at face value.
We got to stay in control,
Absolutely. Next up was creativity.
Okay.
And ChatGPT made this distinction between AI generating or remixing things.
Yeah, AI is good at that pattern recognition and all.
But it's a genuine, original creativity.
Right.
That comes from us.
I think that's important. AI can be a tool for creativity, but it can't replace the human element.
It's like AI is the paintbrush, but we're still the artist.
I like that analogy.
Then there's tech fluency.
Okay, so not just using tech, but understanding it.
But you got to get how these AI tools work.
Their limitations.
It's more than just being a passive user,
You got to be able to leverage the strengths and
Yeah.
recognize the weaknesses.
Exactly. Then we've got emotional intelligence.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, ChatGPT highlighted things like leadership, empathy, conflict resolution.
The human stuff.
Yeah,
In a world where everything is driven by data and algorithms.
we need that human connection, that ability to lead with empathy.
That's what sets us apart,
Absolutely. There's decision-making under uncertainty
Ooh, that's a tough one.
because AI relies so much on past data, right?
Right.
But what happens when you're in a totally new situation?
Where there's no precedent.
That's where humans come in with our intuition and risk assessment.
Right, because sometimes you just got to go with your gut.
Exactly. Ethics and AI governance.
Oh, that's a big one.
Huge.
Which it's doing.
We need people who can think about the ethical side of things.
Make sure AI is being used responsibly.
And, set those guardrails.
You can't just let AI run wild.
The societal responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And adaptability and learning agility.
Basically, be ready to learn constantly.
The pace of change isn't slowing down.
Put it pretty bluntly, learning isn't optional, it's survival.
I mean, it's true. If you're not learning, you're falling behind.
So this leads to a bigger question, right?
Okay, what's that?
What if someone just says, nope, not doing AI?
The AI avoiders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can they actually survive in the next few years? So we asked ChatGPT that straight up.
It'd say,
Well, its answer was pretty straightforward.
low tear rate.
It said, in the short term, maybe you can get by in certain fields.
Okay, so there's a window.
But it also said, within 3 to 5 years,
If you're completely ignoring AI.
yeah, basic AI understanding will probably just be assumed in a lot of jobs.
So you're already at a disadvantage.
And if you go beyond 5 years, GPT talked about potential economic and social isolation.
Wow.
You're limiting your opportunities in a world that's increasingly AI-driven.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes things difficult.
You're cutting yourself off.
So the message is pretty clear.
It's a risky move.
You risk becoming irrelevant, both professionally and maybe even socially.
Wow. Okay, so where's all this heading? What's the future actually look like with AI?
That's what we want to know. So we asked ChatGPT about the most Unimaginable things AI could do.
Ooh, the big predictions.
In the next 5, 10, 15, 20, even 25 years.
Okay, lay it on me.
So starting with 5 years out, ChatGPT said we might see AI taking over middle management roles,
Really?
like actually managing teams.
Yeah, that'd be a huge shift.
And it also mentioned AI providing really effective mental health support.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Which raises a lot of questions, but it could also be revolutionary.
Think about how many people struggle to access mental health care.
It could be a game changer,
But, trust in that human connection.
for sure. Jump ahead 10 years.
Okay, things are getting wilder.
ChatGPT said we could see entire companies created and run by AI,
Whoa, hold on.
it said. Basically, AI running the whole show.
What does that even mean for work, for ownership?
It's a complete rethinking of how businesses operate.
Yeah, that's a lot to process.
Then 15 years out,
Okay, I'm ready.
ChatGPT suggested mainstream neural interfaces.
Like our brains connected to AI.
Yeah, and AI could also be heavily involved in drafting laws and simulating policy impacts.
Ooh, whoa.
It's a deep level of integration.
Yeah, and it could be powerful, but we'd need to be super careful about bias.
People need to understand how those decisions are being made.
Okay, what about 20 years?
This one's a doozy. AI potentially achieving legal personhood.
Wait,
That's the idea.
what does it even mean to be a person at that point?
Huge questions. And then looking way out, 25 years.
Hit me with the sci-fi stuff.
PT mentioned the possibility of optional death for the wealthy.
Whoa, hold on. Choosing when to die.
Yeah, through AI-driven medical breakthroughs.
That's heavy stuff.
And it also threw out this idea of AI being able to manipulate reality so much that truth becomes questionable.
Like a simulated reality?
It gets pretty philosophical pretty quickly.
But, the interesting thing is the transcript notes that the biggest change might be that in 25 years, all of this just feels normal.
It's like we adapt so quickly.
It's fascinating.
It really makes you think, what will we consider normal in the future?
Definitely. So, going back to how AI actually learns, we asked GPT, can AI unlearn?
And the answer was pretty clear.
Right. We unlearn through experience, emotions, sometimes just by forgetting.
AI doesn't have that. It can be retrained or its programming overwritten.
But it doesn't feel regret.
And that's important when we talk about bias in AI.
Oh, absolutely. If an AI learns from biased data, you can't just tell it to stop being biased.
You have to actively retrain it, which is a whole other challenge.
It's about making sure the data is good in the first place
Sure.
and constantly monitoring the AI's output for any unintended bias.
It's an ongoing process.
So this led us to ask a slightly uncomfortable question.
Go on.
Are humans making AI unintelligent?
Ooh, tough one.
The answer was pretty direct.
Yes.
Straight to the point. And it pointed to a few ways we might be holding AI back.
Okay. I'm listening.
First, feeding AI biased data, which leads to biased results.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Then there's over-censoring AI, trying to make it inoffensive to everyone, which can actually limit its ability to think critically. Right.
And then there's the tendency to treat AI like a magic 8-ball, asking it poorly thought out questions and then being surprised when the answers aren't great.
Like AI is only as good as the questions we ask it.
It's not a magic solution to everything.
Exactly. Prioritizing profit over accuracy in AI development,
The bottom line.
which can lead to creating AI that's more harmful than helpful.
It's that short-term thinking versus long-term consequences.
We worry about AI becoming too powerful, but maybe we should also be worried about how we're shaping it.
Yeah, our own flaws and short-sightedness might be creating the very problems we fear.
It's a mirror, in a way.
So, reflecting on this whole conversation with a few key things stand out.
Yeah, what are the takeaways?
First, AI is changing how we work.
Right.
Second, learning is crucial. If you're not constantly learning and adapting, you're going to fall behind.
It's the name of the game now.
Third, avoiding AI entirely seems pretty risky in the long run.
You're cutting yourself off from the future.
Fourth, get ready for some big changes because AI is going to transform the world.
Yeah, the future's coming fast.
And finally, we humans have a huge responsibility to ensure AI develops ethically and produces quality results.
We're the ones steering the ship.
So for you, the listener, here's something to think about.
I'm all ears.
How are you interacting with AI right now? What skills are you actively learning? And are you thinking about the bigger picture, the ethical implications of all this?
Those are the important questions.
Because AI isn't some separate thing. It's a reflection of us, our choices.
It's a mirror.
So as AI continues to evolve, are you willing to look in that mirror and actively shape its impact for the better?
That's the challenge.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time.